We are in a woodland that is actively undergoing restoration. This is a project that has been funded by the Institute for Museum and Library Services. This woodland, like all of the management units at the Shaw Nature Reserve, is part of our living collection of native plant communities. And it had become highly degraded, primarily due to the invasion of exotic shrubs, specifically Asian bush honeysuckle and privet. And those two had become so abundant that they had suppressed the native herbaceous diversity and also created a deeply shaded ground layer that was no longer able to produce the fine fuel layers that we need for conducting prescribed fire, which is such an essential part of management of many of our natural communities in this part of the world. Shaw Nature Reserve really has been a pioneer in recognizing and implementing the role of prescribed fire for management of our natural communities, dating back to one of the early directors of Shaw Nature Reserve, August Billman, who served from 1941 to 1956. So then moving forward, if we look to the 80s, it was widely acknowledged we needed to burn our prairies and our grasslands, but most land managers throughout Missouri and the Midwest were stopping that fire at the edge of the woods. But then a number of pioneers in tandem, land managers here at the Shaw Nature Reserve, began to experiment with woodland burning. And the Shaw Nature Reserve began to burn its woodlands, and not just its grasslands, in the late 80s and in the early 90s. And since that time, management of our woodlands with fire has become integral to our restoration and land stewardship. The dominant landscape here in our region is woodlands. And much of Shaw Nature Reserve is covered with our native woodland. And woodlands are dependent upon fire. In the absence of fire, they become closed in. Trees, even some of our desirable native trees, will become so densely stocked that it suppresses the greater diversity of those plant communities. Fire, once again, is an essential tool. The staff of the Nature Reserve over the decades have been remarkably resourceful in pulling together as a team, from general services to education to horticulture to our staff naturalists, and importantly including our past director John Baer, to enable us to have a fire program and to move forward as pioneers in ecological restoration.